I'm Lisa Berry.
Arlene Schofield.
My name is Shireen Snow.
My name is Carla A. Miles.
Diana Camuto.
This is Christine Dunford.
I'm me, Eden.
Caroline Macy. This is Walker Fannin.
Lydia Camille Dixon.
I'm Sarah Dates Wardam.
My name is Linda Preston, and you're watching the Keith Andrew Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the KeithAndrewNetwork Network. This is Season 5, Episode 431. I'm here with the talented and beautiful Amanda Kallander. I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, the honor is all mine. Hey, supporting a good cause, making a new friend out of it. And with that being said, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities, to never give up and to prove people wrong, and to show them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be or how you got to live your life. And you should prove to them you can still amount to something. Hashtag break the labels. So I'm still working on it. I have two slogans. I used to say never give up, prove people wrong. But then people are like, well, a lot of people, I'll give you an example. John Cena has never give up, and he's never give up. And I added prove people wrong. I'm like, well, why not do something different, saying labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. You should prove to them you can break the label. So I'm trying to add the two of them together without it overlapping and making it being too long. But which one do you like more? Never give up and prove people wrong, or labels don't dictate who you are and who you're going to be? Or does it make a difference?
I think the first one is better. It's more concise to the point that you're trying to make.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm a work in progress. So I'm going to ask you some easy questions, then we can go to the hard-hitting ones. And starting off, you mentioned you are an actress. So the first question I was going to ask you is, what were some of your favorite films that you starred in, number one? And did you take acting classes or no?
Okay, I have taken some acting classes before. I went through a program called AMTC, which is Actors, Models, and Talent for Christ. They are a program that specializes in training young performers how to audition for an agent, how to keep your values in the industry. And so I have had a couple of lead roles in some short films. One was called, oh gosh.
I know, I had that effect on people.
I'm blacking out, I'm sorry. But my favorite role was I got to be a woman called Jane, and she was rehabilitating from active duty life to civilian life, and it showed the challenges that she faced with doing that, because you're coming from another world that people don't really understand unless you are in the military, and you're trying to acquire a normal job in the normal world, and a lot of people don't understand what you've been through. So it was a really good, touching story about what they go through.
No, I agree. I met people, from the military. I work in a retail store that come in and they look at me and then I look at them. That's how it works. You look at me, I look at you. But I can see it's like you're looking on the outside saying, oh, you're in a uniform. You get to walk around and hold this authority. But what's really going behind the scenes? And then people who are in uniforms are looking at the civilians. It's like, oh, you have it easy. You don't have to worry about other things. But it's kind of like a number of example I will give you is if you talk to a famous celebrity star, you're on the outside saying, "Oh, I had what you have, and be an A-lister and have all this money and whatever." But at the same time, the A-lister is kind of looking at you. It's like, it's not really that cracked up to be, and maybe you're just be happy with what you have. So it's kind of like you're looking in and you're looking out. So you're looking at two different point of views.
Yes, I remember the name now. The film was called Re-Entry. So definitely hard for a lot of civilian or soldiers to re-enter into civilian life. So.
No, absolutely. Were you like the main star or your supporting star?
I did play the lead, Jane. She was a mother and an army. And then she went through losing her apartment, losing her ability to be a good parent. She had to recover and try and get a job. And the PTSD that she was experiencing was from some real stories that I had the privilege of listening to a woman named Roxy, and she told me her story. So her character Jane, or my character Jane, is loosely based on her life, what she went through being a woman in the military. So.
Well, while we're on the subject, I do have some military questions for you, if you're okay with it.
I've never been in the military.
Well, based on the character in the story. Well,
Okay, yeah.
On the subject. The first question I was going to ask you, don't worry, it's not going to be anything political. The first question I was going to ask you is, there's some stores do discounts for senior citizens, and if you have a coupon book, they give you like coupons and everything. But because people serve in the Army, do you think they have a right to get a discount? I think they do, frankly, because if it's not for them, we'd probably be eating our garbage cans.
Well, exactly. I think a lot of my friends that are military, they're so humble and they're so incredible, and they'll never accept anyone, saying that they're a hero or that they, they're just so humble. They don't want those accolades, but they don't understand sometimes that, you're doing something that 90% of us wouldn't do because we are selfish, we are weak, we are whatever we are as humans. And these people that have chosen to serve our country, no matter if you're on the front line fighting or if you're working in, technology or whatever you're doing, every role is important because you're keeping America the great country that it is. And a lot of people won't do that. And so in my book, they deserve every discount, every royalty they could ever imagine. I mean, I think we should pay them more, honestly, but that's just me.
No, I agree with you 100%. And while on the last subject about it, I did meet a lot of people in uniform. And, I'm not really an ass kisser, but sometimes I am. Some people say I am. I won't mention names. But when I see someone in uniform, I would purposely run over to them and introduce myself. And I would say, thank you for your service. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are like, why you do that? That's completely unnecessary. But I say thank you for your service, and the responses I would get from some people, right? Thank you very much, that means a lot. Or some people would just brush me up like, yeah, okay, yeah, thanks. But it's kind of like, it's funny you see those different sides.
Yeah, they are treated like celebrities sometimes, and they don't necessarily feel like they deserve it or they don't want it, but in real reality, I think we should treat them more like celebrities than we do our celebrities, in a sense.
That's true. What about, do you have any upcoming projects that you're working on? Or I noticed that you were a model, upcoming model. Who influenced you to become a model? And did being a model / actress happen at the same time, or did one open the door for the other?
Those are good questions. Yeah, I started my journey in the business about 2 years ago. I started as an actress and a model in the network that I live in. I've done a couple of underground runway shows for modeling for Generation Apparel, and I've done a lot of different photo shoots just to help promote local photographers. And as well as being an actress, I have done a lot of extra work to learn and taking classes. And I've quickly been very blessed to have roles from extra role to now leading roles in my market. One project that I am working on currently, and it's almost done wrapping filming process, is Replicant Terminus by Mylan Productions. They are the premise of the story is a 2050 world of Blade Runner where replicants are loose all over the planet, and there's lots of different groups about that are trying to combat the replicants as well as fight with each other. And it's an interesting story, and it'll come out probably in 2019. I play military chaplain Gloria Faye Rehoboth, and she's kind of she's not as tainted by the world as everybody else is. She's a believer in Christ. She kind of brings that kind of support to her troop, to her platoon, and to the government agency that she does work for. So yeah, she's a vital role in the morale and just keeping people focused on hope in the situation. So it's been a great time working with Mylan Productions. Wouldn't have it any other way. It's a great company. So.
No, I hear you. And now the next two questions I got to ask you is, because I like to make people laugh, and I was just thinking about the stories. Like, I was got to say yesterday in my interview, I didn't get the chance to, but I want to make you laugh. Have you ever been in an experience working in retail or any scenes that happened in your life that was a funny story? Do you have any funny stories you like to share? Like, I mean, for an example, it wasn't funny at the time, but it was funny now.
Oh my goodness. Well, so being an actress has taught me to put a filter on some things. Obviously, I'm very sarcastic and some things just run out of my mouth. I don't really think about what I just said,
Same
and
here.
So I have worked in retail before where, especially in automotive, I've sold automotive parts, and I've talked to male customers that have been in the industry for 20 plus years talking about automotive parts, and there's a lot of terms about male parts, see, I'm already on the subject. There are a lot of terms in the automotive industry that are inappropriate. It's definitely a male world because some of the parts, there's a little piece that goes onto a radiator that connects a hose.
Yeah.
And they call those nipples. And it's just terms that you're like, why would you call it that? It doesn't even look like a nipple. It's what it is. So most of the time, my funny stories are just loosely based on a slight amount of inappropriateness, but just laughing at the subject matter of we're talking about radiator nipples, or whatever we're talking about. So,
I didn't even know radiators had nipples.
I didn't either, but it's interesting.
Yep, you bring up a good point. Next time I go, my dad gets his car work done, I'm gonna ask him my mechanic that lesson. Just to see his response.
Yeah.
The other one I have was this one woman came into the store, and I can't keep a straight face. I work in a store because when I don't do my interviews, I like to have something to do. I have ADD, so I'm constantly has to be doing something. So I really don't give a shit about, about, whatever's more stories for the show. This woman came in, and two of them, and at the same time, like a day apart. One says, wordy, one trying to get my thoughts. She came in, said, where do you keep your balls? I mean, what? soccer balls. And I started to laugh, and she hit me in the arm like, that's not what I meant. And the other one, it's the Spanish lady came in and says, where do you have your babies? And I bent my head like, oh, maybe come into the back room or something. Like, what? Oh, where do you keep your balls and where do you have babies? I'm like, Jesus, this is a toy store. What's wrong with you people?
Yeah.
But the most funniest thing, I have this video I want to show you. It's really funny. It wasn't funny at the time. Basically, you're from Colorado, so how cold is it? Was it freezing in Colorado? I know New York had a couple of sub-zero days.
We never. It's been a long time since we've reached below zero. I faintly remember those days growing up. Our climate has changed a lot where if it snows, it's sunny again the next day, or it could be sunny and freezing.
Yeah.
20 or even 10 degrees. But usually after it has a temper tantrum and it dumps whatever it's going to dump, it usually has a bright, cheerful day to follow. So, yeah.
Well, the reason I asked is because today is Saturday, so it's got to be a week ago this time. A week ago on Sunday will be a week. So I walked in, it's like finally I get to work. Now they're cutting hours, so yeah, 1 day a week. Woohoo, But they like playing other games on. He's like, oh, you don't have to work today. Okay, could he just had called me? Because that's another thing. I walk in, it's like, oh, we called you. No, you didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. I'm so tired of that game. But I walked in, I got 2 hours out of it. And then I noticed I heard dripping. Yeah, I know, I make people drink. And I heard dripping, and I was like, where the hell is that coming from? And I looked, and I saw water coming from the light fixture. I was like, well, that's not good. And I thought, because on front, and if I had to stay, I apologize. Like how you're looking straight right behind me, like the shade is like that's with the outside of the store. And I was like, oh, the snow's melting. And because there was a lot of snow, we had like a wasn't 5 feet. It was about like 4 feet of snow or something. Between that, 3 or 4 or a foot of snow, whatever numbers you want to throw at it. And someone's like, oh, it's waking off on the front and it's running back, and from the pressure of the snow, it's making it wake for the ceiling. Later on, this guy came in, this maintenance guy. He had a bright idea of opening the ceiling and having a little pipe, a little thing like a strip from the pipe running down into a bucket. I'm like, yeah, that's gotta work. The next thing you know, the pipe froze and broke, and the whole store flooded.
Oh.
I have the video if you want to see it. It's really funny. This guy, the security guy, is like, yeah, and it's up to you. Do you want me to use exact words he used?
Sure.
Or you want to keep it PG? It's up to you.
Oh, I'm fine. I mean, whatever you want to do.
Hey, that's I don't want to impose on you. And he said, for the most part, my show's rated 14, so it can go either way. I keep it PG, but I don't go over 14. So the guy's in the doorway. It's like, yeah, it's on the walkie. It's like, yeah, I'm here. And in the store, fucking pipe froze, and now there's 2 feet of water in the damn store. Whole store is trashed. It's all on video if you want to see it. It's really funny. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to wait. I'm probably not going to work there much longer. I posted video, and in the captions I wrote, this is why I'm not allowed to take dumps at work anymore. And they have water pouring from the ceiling.
That's brilliant. That's fantastic.
18 people viewed it last time I looked, and no one commented on it. It's like, what? It's a joke. And it's like, you have to be so politically correct with some people. It's kind of like, it's funny. Yep. You got to laugh at it. So. Anyway, but
you got to take advantage of life's funny situations because it's too short to be serious all the time, you know?
That's true. I agree with you. And now I'm going to ask you one more question, then we can take a break, and then I'm going to pass the show over to you. And don't mind me, I'm out of rhythm from my talk show. Usually I ask certain questions, but, long story short, I live at home, and I have a lot of people criticizing my talk show skills, so that's kind of throwing me off. Anyway, I don't want to complain to you. But I was going to ask you, when you were in college, what did you major in? And were you a study nerd or party animal?
Well, I unfortunately wasn't able to complete a degree in college, but I did go to study equine science, which is basically a well-rounded, versed knowledge of horses. And I learned about feeding classes, what's good to feed farm animals. I learned about therapeutic riding. I got to be a part of a therapeutic riding class, helping kids that have different disabilities get on a horse and just experience muscle movement that they didn't have before until they got on the horse, and play games, and it was really fun. But yeah, I was not a partier. I was seeing people passing around flyers. I'm like, that's trouble. That's trouble. Not gonna do that, because you don't trust any. Like, people just go to parties, and I'm like, I don't trust anybody. Like, why would you go? So I found a group of friends that were real fun people that were part of a church at the time, and I didn't know if I wanted to go to church, but I joined, and they were just really great people, and really helped me in my faith and helped me just learn a bunch of things about myself. But we would play games on campus that were, I swear, like 20 times more fun than any party you could ever have in college, because it was just such a great experience, running around in the dark and driving around blindfolded. And we played some crazy games. We did some crazy things. And to me, that's far more valuable than, drinking all the time and getting drunk. So I stayed away from the parties simply because I just didn't interest me. That's how I am. It didn't interest me. But those people gave me some great memories, and they're still my friends today. We all have grown up and moved on, but yeah, it was some good times. I think I probably did that more than studying, but that's okay.
There's this post, I have to find it for you. I saw it a couple of days ago. It says, drunk people go through stop signs, but people who are high would stop and wait till the sign turns green.
Uh-huh.
I know, it's not really that funny, but it's kind of like haha funny.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's people that take marijuana just, they're just chill. They're always chill and whatever, so, yeah.
Well, actually, while on the subject, are you for or are you against legalized marijuana? And, if you look at the studies, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I'm saying look at the studies. People who drink are more likely to get into a car accident, to get liver damage, kidney damage, but there's no studies, or as far as we know of anything that happens when you smoke marijuana. One, God grows it, and two, it's healthy for you. So, and think about this. California, it's running out of money. But recently they said, look at how much money they got from legalizing it.
Well, I would say Colorado's a good example of how much money you could make off of marijuana. We went from having a decent economy to being similar to California in our prices and cost of living and opportunities and jobs. And I would say marijuana is a tricky issue because here in Colorado, I've seen, I'm a native here. I've lived here my whole life, and I've seen the changes of marijuana. I've seen people get real help from marijuana, get real good help. Like, they've had serious issues, and the marijuana just allows them to be a human again.
Right.
And be pain-free. However, I do know that it depends on what marijuana you consume and how much, because my friend, there was a story in the news of one of my friends. She died in a car accident from somebody that hit her that was high on marijuana and didn't have the reaction time to stop or to move out of the way. He just plowed into her car and she was killed instantly. So there's there's things that we just can't really gather and glean from studies.
Yes.
Studies are not studies are not the ultimate truth. They're not the ultimate say in anything, but marijuana has brought a lot of money to our state. It's helped our schools. It's helped a lot of people with medical issues, but it's also, in a sense, brought a lot of it's brought some negative things, like such. You cannot drive when you're high for a reason, my friend dying. It's brought some interesting people and ways of life and mentalities that weren't there before.
That too.
I mean, I personally, I don't mind the plant. I mean, I use CBD oil in its purest form, like an essential oil, and there's no THC inside of it. And sometimes I use that for pain that I'm having. And it elevates the heart rate. It gets me feeling a little bit of anxiety, so I don't use it a lot, but it does help with pain a little bit. And so I think everybody's different, and it's going to affect everyone's body differently. And you just kind of have to use caution like you would with any other plant or herb in essential oil. If you do any kind of holistic studies, I've done a few, you can find that there's a lot of plants that you shouldn't eat or use while you're pregnant or if you have certain ailments. And that's just nature. I mean, it's not going to be perfect. There's no such thing as the perfect solution in anything. So it's all just about what your body can handle and what's good for you and your body, because it's like everybody's unique, and so you can't say it all works for everyone, or it should be for everyone. But so far, marijuana in Colorado has been a good thing. A lot of natives would disagree because everybody's flocked over here and there's so many people now, but overall, I say on the scale of pros and cons, I think it's brought more pros than cons. So
No, absolutely. And I asked you two questions, then we got to take a quick commercial break. With everything, you should take it responsibly. I'm not saying be reckless with it, but you mentioned what the last part is, you mentioned plants. If you remember in Jurassic Park, yes, I know Jurassic Park is just a movie, you remember what Laura Dern said when they're sitting at the table. He says, you have these plants that look beautiful and everything, but they're actually extinct and dead away. But you pick them because they look nice. But you don't, it's the same thing. You just because they look nice and, I want this in the house, even though it's going to kill me. But it's kind of like you can't have it both ways.
yeah.
But with that being said, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back with the last 10 minutes, I'm going to pass the show over to you.
Me, Mark Medley.
Hi everybody, this is Mark Neely.
Barry Papick.
This is Peter Bruno.
My name is Kyle Collier.
This is Julio Santiago, better known as Dynamite.
I'm Richard Epcar.
Orange Chow.
This is Kerrigan Mahan.
This is Goldner.
And we both support
Keith Andrew.
My name is Ron Wasserman, and I am supporting Keith Andrew and what he is doing, and you better do the same, or I'm going to come kick your ass.
My name is Keith Andrew, and this is Season 5, Episode 431. I'm here with the talented and beautiful Amanda. I just want to say thank you for sticking with us.
Of course. It's a lot of fun.
Now, with the last 10 minutes left of the show, I'm going to pass it to you, but the last question I was going to ask you before is, did you do any sports growing up? And did you ever get the chance to do one of those human pyramids, or are you not into the human pyramid stuff?
Well, I really wasn't in a lot of sports growing up. I did martial arts.
Oh, nice.
I did ninjutsu, jujitsu for a little bit. I did track for a little bit. But I did really good at one track competition. I did pretty good in the, gosh, what was it? It was a relay race, and our team won first place, and it was really windy that day. My dad can recall me running in slow motion because it was so windy outside, but we still won. But never any human pyramids for me. I I used to be very shy and timid and insecure, and if you invited me to a human pyramid, I would have been worried about breaking someone or someone breaking me. So I would have just watched people do it. But now, if you ask me to be part of a pyramid, totally jumping in all the way. So
I love that stuff. I'm a loser. Maybe you can help me do one day.
You're a what?
I'm a loser. I love that stuff.
Okay, first of all, you got to talk to yourself more kindly than that. You're not a loser. You're a good person. You're a sweet guy, and you have a lot of talents and skills, and you're trying to overcome some things, and that's everything. So, talk to yourself nicer, okay?
I promise you. And if you're ever interested, maybe we can hang out and do like a pyramid and make it like a, how to do those ice bucket challenge. Maybe you can do like a pyramid challenge.
Yeah, that would be fun. A lot of falling over, I'm sure, but that'd be fun.
Hey, never say never, right? So
That's right.
I'm going to pass the show over to you. Was there anything you wanted to talk about? Anything you want to promote? Ask me. This is your time, after all.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me a public forum to promote my project, and I just want to encourage everybody to go visit Replicant Terminus on Facebook. We have one main group, and we have 2 fan groups in Scotland and UK, and just give us a like or a join and be a part of the project. I do supplement as a producer as well in the project, and we have quite a good following, and gosh, what else can I say about it? Yeah, just like us on Facebook. It's Mylan Productions, Replicant Terminus. I play Gloria Faye Rehoboth, a military chaplain, and we would love your support, and that's all I have to say, really.
Well, do you have any promos or like banners or any commercials I would love to support it.
Yes, I can send you some of those as well as a trailer.
No, absolutely. Hey, you help me, I help you, and you're making a new friend out of it.
Yeah, of course. I love networking. It's awesome.
I do have a couple questions for you off the air about wrapping up our interview segment. First question I was going to ask you is, are you on LinkedIn, Twitter, Stage 32? How can your fans follow you? And the second part is, when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your first reaction and what made you say yes?
Okay, so I am on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. Those are my 3 chosen weapons of promotion. Facebook, I'm on as Amanda Kallander, and Twitter, I'm on as aheart89, as well as Instagram, aheart89. And when you at first when you asked me to be on your show, I was like, I thought to myself, this guy is really trying to accomplish something, and I want to help him as much as possible. So, I know I'm helping you, you're helping me, but I really am blessed to be a part of something that you are so driven to do. No matter what anybody says, it doesn't really matter, because you're working on yourself. That's fine, and you're doing your dream. That's what matters. So you just do you, and who cares about everybody else?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Now stay tuned for off-the-air questions, but wrapping up her segment was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road.
Thank you.